Hello, hello. I'm gonna take the top off of this coffee. Here we go. I am here. I read banned books. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another vlog for Vlogtober, kinda, but mostly cataloging my progress on the Geogradient MCAL from West Knits, Stephen West. My name's Susan, and it's been a little while since I have been filming anything. I took my last video I uploaded whenever it was, and I took a little bit of a break to not film anything. And now it is Saturday, October the 14th, and I have a bit of time to vlog today. It is gloriously foggy outside and chilly and cold and very much fall. It reminds me of the type of fall I grew up with in Newfoundland, and yeah, which is very rare for me to experience as an adult now, because I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which is in the southern part of Western Canada. So I'm in southern Alberta, and normally we really just have two seasons, which is forest fire and winter. And especially as the years go on, that's just kind of how it feels. And the weird thing about today is that this morning I was mentioning it to my husband that I'm feeling the weather in my joints, like I'm this wise but very intimidating old witch living in the forest, and I can feel it in my joints, specifically in my elbow. For those that have been following me in previous iterations and stuff, I broke my elbow pretty spectacularly earlier in 2023. And yeah, there's a lot of metal in my arm now. I'm doing like so much better, but when the weather gets like this, when it gets cold or when there's more humidity in the air, which is essentially the entirety of downtown Calgary is like inside a cloud right now, which makes sense because the elevation of this place is really, really high. I can't remember how many thousands of feet it is above sea level. So in my brain, I'm like, well, why doesn't it get foggy here more often? Because we're basically in the sky. And that also explains why I burn so easily here, because we're closer to the sun. That's how it works in my brain. Anyway, yeah, I was explaining it to my husband because I sit there and I'm just kind of like moving my elbow around and all of this. And he's like, oh, is your elbow bothering you? And I'm like, yeah, it feels like an old winter coat that you're trying to do the zipper up on, but the fabric of the coat is stuck in the zipper and you just keep trying to go like to dislodge it somehow, but it's not dislodging. That's what my elbow feels like. So it's like all right here, and I don't have feeling down here really, and it's whatever. Yeah, so my elbow, my arm feels like a stuck zipper. That's not keeping me from knitting though, don't worry, because I want to update you on the progress I have made for Clue 2, which was released on Thursday. And I also, like, first off, I want to thank all of you for following me along and welcoming me back. Ooh, whoops. No one calls me on my phone, and it makes it very difficult to record videos when my vlogging camera is my phone. Yeah, so I think I'm getting a lot of scam calls and stuff. I digress. What was I saying? Thank you. Thank you everybody for welcoming me back into the YouTube fold, and for so many new folks coming over and hanging out with me here on this little part of the internet and little part of YouTube. It's really cool. to meet new people and to make new connections and all that stuff. And I'm really grateful for all of the other folks that have been following like since 2017, if not earlier, and have, you know, kept coming back. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been kind of fun to do these sort of informal little vlog things that aren't really the format of those podcasts that I used to do and what a lot of traditional, when I say traditional, knitting podcasts are on YouTube and stuff now. So it's kind of fun to be a little more informal, and it honestly, for the way my life is right now, it definitely works better for me to do things in this manner. So anyway, it's been a short week because Monday was a holiday, but holy smokes, it felt like a long one. So I'm very grateful to be here in the weekend, and I have a very busy week ahead of me, but I'm really happy to be here and for the weather to be like it is. I'm going to go outside and go for a walk a little later this afternoon. Hopefully the fog and the sort of moodiness continues. And I'm going to go to the reservoir to go for a walk and be by water, and I think it's going to be really nice. I'm really excited to knit and to read and to just like cozy up and, you know, drink coffee and tea and electrolytes, because I do a lot of that. Anywho, I'm really happy for that, to have this kind of focus time that's just for creative stuff and for me, and I really value it. I really, really value it. Sure, I have to clean. Sure, there are lots of things that I probably should be doing, but you know what? Life's too short. Life's too short to clean, and I'm a grown-up and I can do whatever I want. I have this donut that I wanted to share with you. Please observe this donut. Look at the edible glitter on this donut. I think it's a ginger cookie. Those are my favorite kind of cookies. I love ginger cookies. And ever since since having COVID in 2020, I had the OG COVID. It has completely messed up my sense of taste and smell still. And there are certain things that I cannot eat anymore because they're too disgusting. And one of them has to do a lot of things with real dairy and butter and things in it. So I need to eat things that have really strong flavors to cover the grossness of butter, which is so sad because I used to love butter. But anyway, ginger cookies are that for me, and I'm excited. It's a ginger cookie. Oh, it's ginger and cinnamon, and I love it. So yeah, I'm gonna eat that donut in a bit, but I want to share with you progress on Clue 2. So I managed to completely finish Clue 1, which I'm really excited about. And I really love how it's looking. I love the stripes that are coming out. The color palette that I'm working with, I love it. I really, really love it. It's, you know, that sort of 70s vibe. It reminds me of like if you were to take one of the Chesterfields or couches, essentially sofas, that I grew up with in the 80s, and I turned it into yarn and like updated it a little bit. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of 70s couches that I grew up with in the 80s that were kind of like weird velvet and then floral on top of it and had like the wood inlay inside. And they were the couches that were either super, super stiff and rigid where it hurt your butt to sit on them, or they were so plush that they swallowed you whole and you were just like a little head sticking out of these little velvet and shag pillows. That's what it makes me think of. So Clue 2, I was very curious, especially with, all of the things that have been going on with this make-along, which have been, I'm not really going to go into it because lots of other people are, and I just, I don't like dwelling on things that happen. I don't like ignoring them. But I don't see any point in dwelling on it when we're just going to move forward. So I'm just moving forward. And that's just my mentality with everything. So yeah, I was very curious to see how Clue 2 was going to work with the like new version of Clue 1, because the original pattern looked a little different. And I find all of this fascinating and really exciting because there is so much flexibility to create your own and to modify, and it's being encouraged in everything to modify stuff and or to come up with your new stuff. And it almost feels like in some way that the MCAL, this version of the MCAL, whatever timeline we're in right now, it almost feels like we're collaborating in creating the pattern too. And I don't know, there's something kind of neat about that. And maybe it might be an idea for someone, not me, because I don't got time. I'm an ideas person. I'm not very great with following through with my ideas. But I'll come up with the ideas and I'll just delegate somebody else to do it, because that's what I do in my day job. I don't have time to do it, but I love to come up with the ideas and make somebody else do it. I need to keep an eye on the clock because I'm going to go get my hair cut. So yeah, I haven't had my hair cut in about 6 weeks, I think, roughly. And while it doesn't look bad, I need to get this all shaved down again. And it's more of a mushroom cut now and less of a like bowl cut like I had before. I had a bowl cut in the beginning and I loved it. So I want that again. I digress. Let me show you what I got so far. Okay, let me show you. Now, of course, I have stopped in the middle of a row because I was knitting, and then I had to leave for a bit, and then I had to come back. So we're going to ignore how I'm basically in the middle of the row. But this is what this is looking like so far. I do have the bottom half here on, like, this is Clue 1, a series of concentric squares coming out in the round that are all done in garter stitch. And so it's about like 8 rounds, I guess, resulting in 4 garter stitch ridges per color. I just followed everything to pattern. I didn't change anything. I just did it. When I picked up the stitches initially for Clue 2, I was following along exactly as the pattern had said, but I didn't like the way that the stripes fell out of sequence. And I'm sure it probably would have looked fine because you do the same thing on the other side. Because for this one, we're picking up one side of the square and doing like a big long chevron with rows of eyelets. And then you do the same thing on the stitches of the other sides of the square and doing it the same way this way, like the opposite direction. I wanted to really keep the order of the stripes the same going forward. So instead of starting with picking up my stitches or like starting that first eyelet row with color A, like as instructed in the pattern, I actually did it with color C because I ended on color B when I was finishing Clue 1, I finished with color B. So I wanted to have, because the stripes are so close in size too to the Clue 1, I wanted to kind of continue it out. But I am doing something different. So after I had, done like half a repeat as directed, I decided I didn't like it. So I ripped it back and then did it again, redoing the colors. And I decided to add mohair because weirdly, and this is the other thing of like, knitting for as long as I have, and my stash just keeps growing in different ways. But also my day job, professionally, I'm a librarian, hence I read banned books. I have a degree in the organization of information. My organizational methods are completely out to lunch, and I blame my easily distracted neurodivergent manner for that, and I've always been that way. And I have a tendency to forget what I have all the time, and I don't have really good storage in terms of how to see my yarn. I like to have everything tucked away. But the downside of that is that when everything's tucked away, I have no idea what I have. So really I need to live in a world where everything is just a series of like clear drawers. So not shelves, but just like, or maybe shelves, but have cubbies with drawers in them where everything is clear and I can see everything and things have labels. And then that would be ideal. But alas, I don't got the resources to live in a plexiglass house. Why would you want to live in a plexiglass house? That'd be so hot. Oh my God. And think about all the fingerprints that would be over everything. Oh, that's a bad idea, Susan. I knew I had a lot of mohair. I've collected mohair over the last like 5 years, 6 years, maybe longer. And I have little bits of mohair all around. And so I went rooting around through my mohair box thing. And I managed to find pretty much entirely full balls, little cakes of mohair in the exact palette that I'm using here. Like exactly, which is just obviously I thought I was so inventive for myself and kind of stepping out slightly of my comfort zone, choosing all of these colors. But nah, I already had all of these colors in my stash already, just in a different base. So you can kind of see I found coordinating mohair for each of these shades, and you can see the fuzziness. So I started off with adding mohair to the lace, like the eyelet sections here. So this is color C, and this is D, A, B, C, D. There you go. So the reverse stockinette stripes are just knit with the original yarns without holding mohair. And then the eyelet round is done with the mohair. And you're supposed to have, I can't remember how many repeats, but it works out to be like it works out to be 6 eyelet rows and then 6 reverse stockinette rows. So I've decided to split them in half. So the first set of, which I guess I didn't really do that good of splitting it in half, but whatever. Like the first 2 repeats, full repeats, I'm doing holding the mohair in the eyelets, and then I'm going to flip it to hold the mohair with the reverse stockinette. So you can see I've already done that here. Don't focus on me, camera, focus on this. So you can see that the reverse stockinette edge here is a little more red because the mohair itself isn't like a tonal purple or anything. It's more of a rich Merlot kind of color. I'll show you. So this was the purple. This is my color D. This is the mohair I'm holding with it. So it is like, maybe I could have held like, I have like a really bright purple mohair. Maybe I could have held that with this too, but I kind of liked how I wanted to keep it warm, and I like how this makes it even warmer. And there is this kind of burgundy shade, Merlot shade in there-ish. It works pretty good. But like, look at I've managed to find in my stash, like perfectly coordinating. I mean, like, good gravy, right? Like, I mean, perfectly coordinating. So that was a really lucky, thing for me to find. I just need to flip my yarns around here. I have them put in this old mermaid bag that I've had for a long time because I needed, the bag I was using previously wasn't big enough, and I wanted to be able to just look down and see all of the yarns in there lined up, and because I'm pulling from the center of each one, it just makes it a lot easier. So yeah, I'm about halfway through clue 2 right now, and then hopefully I'm able to finish that. It'd be cool if I could finish it today, but we'll see what my hands want to do. I have other knitting I want to do as well, and one of them being working on my, working on the Wave of Change pullover for class on Tuesday. So I need to get the yoke done on that, and I need to separate for the sleeves already so that I have that done and for class so they can see it. So I need to work on that. And then I also got it in my head that I want to make a new hat, but I digress. I don't need more yarn. I need to go shopping in my stash instead of shopping at Stash, which is the name of the store that I teach at. That's my whole tale. I am going to eat my snack and then get ready to leave to go get my hair cut. And then I will have fresh new hair, and I'm gonna feel good about that. And yeah, and then we're gonna go for a walk. Join me, won't you? Let's go. Let's go. So I am walking around the Glenmore Reservoir, and I have essentially reached the point where I'm at the halfway mark where I could turn around and go back the direction I came, or I just keep going. And I think I'm just gonna keep going. So I'm like at about, I don't know, almost 8 kilometers. So probably another 6 or 7. Surprisingly, I am not tired. I know I will be. I usually get really tired at around 12 kilometers. My hips start to hurt. So hopefully I can power on until we round the corner and I get back towards the car and I make good time. I was going to be listening to one of the audiobooks I started, but I just wasn't into it. So I'm listening to a playlist on my Apple Music that's just like a feel-good playlist, so a bunch of pop music. And every so often I am bombarded with like Oasis songs from the 90s, which I don't really want to listen to. But anyway, things seem to be going pretty good thus far. And it's not foggy anymore, as you can tell, but it is still nice and cool. So you can see the reservoir is directly behind me here. So this is actually in Calgary. This is where our drinking water comes from, right? Right. Yeah. This is where water comes from. But it's been really low this year because of, you know, droughts, and it doesn't really rain here. Yeah, but you can see my haircut, sort of. It looks kind of the same, but it's very much shaved down to the skin all around, which makes me feel really good. Yeah, I'm gonna keep on walking, and I'll check in with you in a little bit. Okay. days since I have filmed anything or even tracked progress on my MCAL. I'm currently just at Stash in the classroom that I teach in. Someone had asked about like the waiting room that it looked like I was in my first MCAL vlog, and it's not a waiting room, it's the small classroom in the basement of the knitting store that I'm in. And yeah, you can kind of see behind me, there's the loom in the background there. But yeah, I got here early and I'm just trying to get to the point of separating for the sleeves on my wave of change jacket, which is looking pretty good. I wish you could feel how fuzzy and light this is. It's so good. This is our third class, and I've already been up since 5 o'clock this morning. It is now like almost 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday, and I was already kind of teaching in my day job this morning. I was facilitating a staff training, so that was a lot. And then other shenanigans ensued, and then I've been over here since about 4:30 or so, just like relaxing and decompressing before doing class tonight. But the crazy thing is that, not crazy, it's kind of expected. I don't know what it's like in your part of the universe, but it's like everybody is sick, like everybody. And in my day job, the place where I work, we have a couple of folks out with COVID right now. I'm getting my COVID booster, updated COVID booster and flu shot tomorrow afternoon, and I am anticipating being feeling pretty crummy after that, because I am the type of person, I always end up with an immune response that's pretty vicious. Every time I get a vaccine, it happens with the flu vaccine too. So every time I get a flu vaccine, I'm sick for like 48 hours and then it goes away. But yeah, I'm hoping that it doesn't hit me too hard tomorrow. But also with, everybody being sick and in class today, I think we're missing half the class today because they're ill. So I'm very grateful that they're not coming in when they're ill. I'm not ill right now, but with everybody else getting ill around me, I'm like, oh my God, do I have the illness inside me and it just hasn't reared its head yet? I hope not. But yeah, we're gonna find out. It's one of those things like, you don't want to get any kind of immunization or anything like that if you're already sick. And I am not sick right now, but if I'm on the edge of getting sick and I'm not realizing it, I'm gonna find out tomorrow once I get those shots. And then I might be dead for the rest of the month. We'll find out. I hope not, because I have a lot of things on my plate. But yeah, I'm almost done Clue 2 for the MCAL. I will update you on that progress probably tomorrow, hopefully. I have to pick up for the second half of the stripes on the other side of the triangle. So I finished the first half this morning, and then I will do the second half tomorrow, hopefully, or maybe on Thursday, because if I end up being home, like recovering from the immunizations, I might feel well enough to knit. We'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna keep knitting on this, prepare for class. Hopefully everybody shows up. Maybe no one's gonna show up. God knows. Which case, I've been knitting like the wind for no reason. you.